Johnny Kitsa, whatever the is. Fuck you. Rest in piss, bro. You nasty piece of shit. Have you ever wanted to watch more videos than the thousands of ones that are already on my channel? Hell yeah. How I do that? Huh? Tell me. You know, like the ones that I can't show on YouTube. I got you. I have a Patreon with 3 tiers. This is what you will get per tier. Those of you like to read it. Honestly, I love it. We be going crazy on the Patreon, but I'm going to let you be the judge of that. So y'all go ahead and check out the Patreon and let me know what you think. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for supporting. And thank you for everything. Now, let's get back to the video. All right, y'all. We got a top recipient of the Nasty Awards. I don't even want to reward dude, but this is crazy. Off straight title, it's crazy. The Godfather of J-pop slept with male trainees in exchange for making them stars. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. This is about to be nasty. This is a Rotten Mango video, of course. You know, I do enjoy these videos, even though these videos do be making me a little bit, not a little bit, very angry. And just feeling kind of icky. But I do find interest in these crazy stories because some of them be like, bro, there's no way these are real. So let's have another moment of not believing that this is real while it's being told right in front of our faces. So without further ado, bada boom, bada boom. I mean, bada bing, bada boom. Let's go. Nasty award for this guy. God damn, nasty.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Johnny Kitagawa is who we're talking about today. He is said, if you've never heard this name, he is said to be the godfather of J-pop. Have you heard of this man?
No, I haven't.
At his prime, he was considered to be the combination of JYP and YG and Bang PD all in one man.
What?
Really?
He was the godfather of J-pop.
That's crazy. That's a crazy trifecta in one person. That's actually insane.
He was the man that could pull a nobody from a crowd of millions of people and turn them into an international sensation.
Wow.
A freaking star maker. That's what this guy was. He could take one look at someone and be like, this guy is going to be a star one day. You are going to be the next sensation.
You know what's funny? I kind of don't really believe stuff like that. Like, I honestly don't believe stuff like that. I don't believe that some of these people got the magic touch. For real. Because it's so many talented people, bro. It's so many. And just like knowing how like the industry is and just like all these secrets that be coming up, it'd be like, bro, okay, you find somebody that got talent, cool. But the amount of backing that I know that you, like when they say like, oh, he's going to be a star one day. You know what that sounds like to me? We going to make good money off that boy or girl or insert gender, I believe. Yeah. That is. Yeah. See, that's what I believe, to be honest. I don't know, bro. It's a lot of talented people in this. It's a lot of talented people in this world, and now that social media is here, fool. Oh my goodness.
He would have people circling buildings, waiting in lines to see his stars.
That's nuts.
Just to get a glimpse of his stars. Global corporations would send email after email trying to book his stars. Like, he had the power to do all of that. And if you were a guy, because he only accepts male stars, he's often credited as pioneering boy groups in Japan. So being an idol, I mean, we know this. We've heard all the K-pop horror stories. Being an idol is not easy. It's not fun, nor is it for everyone. Everybody knows this. You've got to sacrifice so much.
Your
you
life.
have to sacrifice oftentimes your family, your friends, your social life, practically everything to be an idol.
Yeah.
But you kind of guess, like, that's what I'm signing up for. Like, these idols, they signed up for it. They're going into this kind of knowing.
Yeah.
But in today's case, there was more on the line than just a social life being at risk. In order to become a top idol at J&A, Johnny and Associates, some said that you had to be a victim first. The godfather of J-pop was allegedly one of the most prolific predators the entertainment industry had ever seen. I'm talking on a global scale.
Oh, God.
Allegations started to come out that Johnny was preying on the underage trainees.
Oh.
One victim stated, boys would be sleeping in a room, like a dorm. The trainees were all in this building, just next to each other, in rooms next to each other, in bunk beds next to each other. It's not the most lavish thing as a trainee. And you would hear Mr. Kitagawa coming into one of the beds of the boys, and you would just think to yourself, it's going to be my turn next.
Bro, that's so nuts. Like, that's nuts. Like, that's so crazy. Like, oh my God. I cannot even imagine, like, niggas be like, bro, yo's in here. This, like, reminds me of that story about the people with the school and the vice principal and everything. They just come into the room and they be like, oh, I might be next. Like, that's nuts, dog. That's nasty as hell.
You would pretend to be asleep, but when Johnny finished with one boy, he would move on to the next. Then the next. So let's talk about the man that created the biggest boy group in Japan and how he got away with abusing them.
My God.
Over and over again.
Just, Jesus Christ. All right, y'all.
As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. Today's case is really unique in the sense that it's not necessarily breaking news, okay? But the
breaking
story
to
has
me.
been back in the headlines because of a documentary that recently came out. It's a BBC documentary. Came out in March.
Ooh.
You can't even watch it outside of England right now without a VPN.
Oh,
so keep that
shit.
in mind. And I'm telling you, this documentary is controversial for so many reasons. I mean, 25 million reasons. And
Hey, 25 million reasons. Hold on. What's this title called again? The Secret Scandal of J-Pop? I think I'm going to call this video that. The Secret Scandal of J-Pop. Okay, yeah.
again, this is not a new case, which makes it
That's what
so
I'm gonna
much
call
worse.
this.
There have been allegations against Johnny Kitagawa since the 90s. Kitagawa even went to trial over these allegations and lost. He lost, but he never suffered any consequences.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I actually saw a Reddit comment. I was on these Reddit forums talking about this because I also did consult a Japanese researcher for this. But they were saying how
Journalistic
in Japan,
integrity.
most people think it's just rumors. A lot of people don't even know that the trial took place in Japan.
Maybe
Yeah.
is it because he has a lot of power?
Oh, just you wait to see how much power this man has. Another comment that I saw that was startling was this man was commenting and he was saying, yeah, I've been following up on this documentary and my wife is Japanese. She was born and raised in Japan. And I told her about this documentary that came out and she said, you know, you can't believe everything you see online.
That is
And he
true,
was just
but
kind of
damn.
shocked. So that is the sentiment for a lot of Japanese people that are in Japan. But I also see a lot of people online being like, I'm literally in Japan. I've been born and raised here, and people need to talk about this.
I should ask my auntie. My friend, he's my age, so he probably doesn't know. I should ask my auntie about this. I wonder if she knows.
There are a whole lot of reasons of why and how he was able to get away with all of this, and we're going to get into all of it.
All right.
But quick disclaimer. There is heavy discussion about relations with minors, and in this case, we're focusing on a man that targeted male victims.
Trigger warning. And also, what was I was about to say something. It's also not as we all know, it's not really as I'm gonna choose my words carefully, but it's not really as like what's the word? I'm not going to say prevalent, and I'm not going to say that people don't care, but it's not in the forefront that, you know, guys get assaulted as well. You know what I'm saying? And like the culture, or just not even culture, just like, I don't know, just the gender norms and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of people out there that actually think that guys literally cannot get assaulted for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, it's nasty. My heart goes out to all my fellas out there that went through stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? My heart goes out to you. You were seen and you were heard, my nigga. You know, shit Shit is
I've
nasty
said
as
this
fuck.
before, but I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Kitagawa does not represent the LGBTQ community. It seems obvious,
Yeah,
but
he's a
there's like
freak
always
ass
that one
boy.
comment that gets me so riled up. But if your mind needs a refresher, go to like any other video on this channel and witness the horrendous atrocities that straight people have committed.
Right.
Okay? So with that being said,
Right.
have you ever hoped to be discovered? It's not an embarrassing dream. I think most of us at one point have had a dream of getting discovered, you know? There's always stories of Hollywood actresses being chased down by agents that just passed by them on the street. And they're like, you're going to be the next Margot Robbie. And if I'm not mistaken, that's actually how Jennifer Lawrence was discovered.
Really?
She never auditioned. She was found by a casting agent.
Wow.
There were K-pop stars who were chased down the street in their student uniforms by casting agents from the big four agencies begging them to audition.
Wow.
It's like a Wattpad dream in real life.
What the
I mean, even considering how wild the
You
entertainment
know how
world
crazy?
is.
Wait, hold on, wait, hold on. You know how crazy that is, though? Like, fool, like, imagine, like, somebody chasing you down to say, you're going to be the next star. But they don't say, you're going to go through hell. But you're going to be the next star. You're going to go through hell. But you will be the next star. Nigga, if somebody pitched that to me, I'm like, if y'all get the fuck out of my face. Like,
Way
what?
Koji was discovered is even crazier. Imagine being at a Blackpink concert, front row, and someone
No
motions
way.
to you.
Oh,
and they said,
shit.
we want to make you the next Blackpink.
What? Wait,
That's
at Blackpink
nuts.
concert?
No. Okay,
Oh.
but like,
Oh.
imagine that.
That would've been
Imagine you're
nuts.
front row and YG himself is like, hey, you, come here. I'm making a new group, Baby Monster. You're going to be a part of it.
Speaking of which,
Can-
hey, where the fuck is Baby YG, I swear to God, man. Don't do this. I be on X sometimes. Some stuff is going on. I've been waiting. It was supposed to be September. Now y'all talking about October or January. Don't play with me, bro. Don't play with me, bro. Of course I'm being dramatic because I will wait. But don't play with me, bro.
Can you imagine?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what happened to Koji.
Koji.
Koji is holding his breath. He's standing completely still. He can hear the hairs vibrating on his arms because the sound of these speakers is out of this world. He had elbowed his way all the way to the front from all these like teenage girls that are like, the Johnnies. Okay, the group that he's seeing are called the Johnnies.
The Johnnies?
He had watched every single TV aired concert since their debut. He knew all of their dances to all of their
Hey.
songs. I mean, yeah, you could say that he was a fan of the Johnnies. There's 4 Johnnies on stage, literally like Blackpink, okay? Koji has the hard job of trying to watch every single one of them. His eyes are like bouncing, one. He's looking at all of them. He wants to just soak it all in. And he's so focused. But from his peripheral vision, he catches a man behind the stage. Like, you know how you can kind of see behind the stage? There's just like this creepy looking middle-aged man peeking his head out and staring directly at Koji.
Ugh. I don't like that. Ugh.
Okay.
The
It's
fuck?
creepy. But if he's allowed backstage, he's not some weirdo, right? Koji tries to focus on the Johnnies, but that man behind the stage, hat and sunglasses, is just looking at him still. Koji's glancing around. Okay, like there's no way he's staring at me. Like that's weird. It's not like I'm trespassing, right? He thinks he's in trouble. He tries to shake this feeling. He tries to focus on the performance of the Johnnies, and he feels a hand on his shoulder.
Oh, hell, boy, you don't touch me, bitch. Don't you fucking touch me. Ugh, don't touch me.
Spins around, and it's the middle-aged man from behind the stage that was staring at him.
Hold on, did he just spawn behind him? He just, what the fuck?
And he straight up asks him, who are you here to see? The Johnnies? What do you do for work right now? I work as a band hand. So you're in show business, are you? Yes, sir, as a band hand. Koji said he originally thought maybe he had been randomly chosen to go backstage and like get an autograph from the Johnnies or something. But the next part of this conversation would change Koji's life forever. The middle-aged man looked at him and said, nice to meet you, son. My name is Johnny Kitagawa, manager and creator of the Johnnies.
That's a movie.
And of this whole concert.
But hold on, because I would think that would be fake. I'd be thinking it'd be a prank on me. Because no, why me? What are you talking about? No, I don't care. I don't. You old fart. Get your fucking hands off me. I probably would have ruined my chances. Like, get the fuck off me, nigga.
This was the Johnny that named the Johnnies. That's who they were named after.
The Johnny.
Koji is thinking of a way. He's like, okay, maybe I need to ask him for an autograph right now. But before he can even ask, why don't you come work with the Johnnies? We always need extra band hands. What do you think? I'll look after you.
Fuck
So
it.
a band hand is someone that travels with the band and they set up and they're assistants, but they're not even like sound check managers. They're just helping set up the stage and stuff. And this is how Koji Matsushita became Kita Koji. That's his stage name. The all-star band member of Johnny Kitagawa's newest band called the Four Leaves.
Oh, he's swagged out. Ooh,
Koji would have
okay.
everything that he dreamed of.
Wait. So
Theoretically.
what happened? He became a. Wait, what did he
So
become?
he
I'm so
became a
confused.
band hand, but he started as a trainee at JNA, and he became the newest member of the biggest group of JNA at the time.
Oh, so he became also
A celebrity,
a star.
an idol. He became an idol.
I do find that kind of interesting too, that you can literally just bring somebody up to just become an idol and just train them. That's another thing that kind of makes like the human experience amazing. Because that's why I tell people, like, you can literally probably do whatever you want if you just put enough work into it. Like, some people would be like, oh, I can't sing, I can't do this and that. Nigga, learn. And you can do it. Trust me, you can do it. If you work hard, you can at least master the basics, and then boom, you just build up from there. Of course, it's gonna take hella work, but you know what I'm saying? It's possible, you know?
Literally just discovered front row at a concert. Can you imagine?
Wow.
And this guy has no background like that. He grew up in a fishing village. Like, he has no
Oh,
money.
wow.
He works at a factory. And now he's the one on stage dancing, singing in front of thousands of people. He was a literal star. But he was also Johnny's newest victim. Johnny Kitagawa was the CEO and founder of Johnny & Associates, Japan's biggest J-pop management company. So think YG, SM, JYP, Big Hit, or Hype. And he was also a prolific predator.
Jesus
He
Christ.
assaulted countless idol trainees for more than 50 years.
I honestly don't get how these weirdos really don't think they're not gonna get caught. You know what I'm saying? Like, this don't make no damn sense. It doesn't make any sense. It really does not. It really doesn't. Because how do you just assault people for 50 years and you really think nobody is gonna? That's crazy as hell. I don't know. I'm not no weirdo. So that's probably why my brain is working. So it's just like, bro, nigga, what? You about to, like, what? If you have the ability to, like, I'm just trying to think. Like, you have the ability to take this farm boy to be a star. So obviously, he has the capabilities of turning his old life into a new life and learning so much new things. You don't think the simple outing of, like, he assaulted me, and he, like, the brain, I just don't understand how this weirdo just don't, or weirdos like this don't get that. I just don't understand. But then again, there's a reason why criminals are stupid. Well, a majority of criminals are stupid. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's just like nerfing or something. I don't know. I don't know. Just, what the fuck? This nasty ass man.
He had no idea that he was making a deal with the devil.
Fuck.
He wouldn't even know until it was too late. He had entered into the devil's den. That's how he describes it. And sure, he's training under this massive company, and he would debut as one of the biggest boy bands. But behind all of that, there were these really, really dark things that were just going on behind the scenes. After Koji retired, he wrote a book on everything that happened to him. He dedicated a page to call it his public warning, a cry to all the other trainees and idols at JNA Agency. He detailed all of the assaults that he endured under the mentorship of what many consider a predator. And once this book comes out, the floodgates open. Allegation after allegation starts flooding out against the Godfather of J-pop.
I love one thing I do love about, like, of course I don't love the assaults, but one thing I do kind of like now, or do love, is that when one person calls out a weirdo for being weird, and it gives all the victims the power and the batter in their back to call this weirdo out and get this nigga the fuck up out of here. I like that. At first, I'm gonna be honest, at first it kind of mind boggled me because, like, mind you, I was a kid. I don't know how old I was when, like, this happened the first time. I don't know who it was, but there was, like, something that happened and I can't remember. But I was just like, yo, why are all these people coming out at one time? Jesus Christ. But nowadays, like, now that I'm, like, grown up a little bit, I'm like, yeah, get this nigga the fuck out of here. I'm so sorry to the people who go through shit like this, because, you know, they gonna think that they don't have the power to say anything, but it always takes that one person to put that batter in their back and just get that motherfucker out of here. You freaky fuck. You freaky fuck. Gosh. Freaky fuck.
One victim stated, I wish I could forget what happened. I wish I could. He once visited me when I was at home with my parents. My parents put his, like, air mattress in the same room as mine.
Why?
That night, he placed my private parts in his mouth.
Ew.
Wouldn't believe it. My parents were sleeping in the next room. Another victim said, Mr. Johnny liked to yell from the bottom of his lungs to call someone. Usually it'd be like, you, come here. And then you'd have to go to the dormitory restaurant, eat with him. And the next time he'd say to a boy, you, get in bed. That was the one you really didn't want to hear.
What the fuck?
Another one stated, when I was like,
he was just calling niggas over to, oh God.
in my bed, he suddenly burst into the dorms. And I was alone. There was no one else in the bed. He slid in beside me and I thought he was holding something strange. He took it and rubbed it on my private parts. It was like a sticky lotion. Then he continued to assault me. Like full essay.
Ew, what the fuck?
I was scared, so I didn't turn my head to look. And it just really hurt. It hurt really badly.
Oh, God.
And afterwards he asked me, do you want something? I said, I don't want anything. He said, you definitely want something, I'm sure.
Nigga, I want you to get the fuck away from me, you. Oh,
Of
God.
it. I said, no. In the morning, I woke up and there was $500, which was placed next to my bed. Mr. Kitagawa also R-worded another trainee who lived in the same dorm.
Oh.
But he was known as the Star Maker. He could make an idol out of thin air. He could turn anybody into a star. He could make the world fall in love with you. But he would take your soul first.
Oh,
A lot of celebrities are accused of selling their souls for fame, making a deal with the devil. To many people, Johnny Kitagawa was the devil, but he didn't make any deals. He was so powerful, he could just take your soul if that's what he wanted. And there was nothing that you could do about it. So let's talk
I heard that he's dead now. Nigga, I hope the devil doing the same thing to your freaky ass. The fuck?
about JNA. It is
Ugh.
often dubbed the boy band factory, and it is founded and run by Johnny Kitagawa. Johnny Kitagawa's parents had immigrated from Japan to the U.S. before the U.S. banned all immigration from Japan.
Oh, shit.
Love the anti-Asian sentiment, okay?
Oh,
Johnny was
God.
actually born in L.A.
Oh.
Yeah, he was born in L.A. a decade before the start of World War II. So he's born, and California is a great place to be now as an Asian American.
Yeah, back then, that
it
joint
was
was-
not a good place
Oh,
to
my
be.
God,
The U.S.
fool.
was so hostile against Japanese people, which just resulted in all Asians by extension because nobody cared to recognize the difference, and nobody cared to recognize that Asia is made up of a lot of different countries.
Exactly.
It was pretty rough for the Kitagawa family. Johnny had 2 older siblings, and they all probably suffered some form of discrimination and racism growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole family, when Johnny's like 10, get deported back to Japan.
Oh, shit.
The government is like, we want everyone out of here. Yeah, this is 1 year before the U.S. starts putting Japanese Americans into concentration camps. So they narrowly avoided this. But it doesn't
Oh.
seem like it gets better for Johnny in Japan. I'm not exactly sure how accurate this is, but there's not much that I could find on Johnny's childhood. Apparently, he narrowly avoided an air raid at one point in Japan. So the guy is just like going through a war. And this world war is heavily impacting him. When he's 16, war is over. The family moved back to LA, and LA is just not what you think it is today. It's not big, it's not diverse. It was still predominantly dominated by white people who had a lot of Asian hate left over from the war. Like, what's new? I get it. Like, people lost family members and friends in the war, but they took it out on their Asian neighbors who were also American-born citizens.
That's weird. That's weird as fuck. That's so
Where's the
weird.
common sense? It is not in this room. So Johnny spent most of his time in a place called Little Tokyo in LA.
Little Tokyo.
It's like a small area near downtown that's got a lot of Japanese shops, restaurants, grocery stores.
Okay.
And it's just a way for Johnny to shield himself from the hate. He freaking loved it in Little Tokyo. He would hang out there every single day, and he loved going to the theater. He loved watching movies, and he just had a thing for show business from the get-go. Like, he loved it. He starts translating for shows that are coming into town. So if there was like a Japanese singer that would come into Little Tokyo, he would offer to translate for free. Japanese singers would come and tour LA. He would be like, yes, on the front lines, like, I can speak both languages fluently. And it was a pretty lucrative career path. Somehow this leads to him flying back to Tokyo and translating professionally for the U.S. Embassy in Tokyo. We just know that he was translating until he was about 26 years old. That was like his main career.
Holy hell.
And he was bored out of his freaking mind. It is the U.S. Embassy. He's a low security clearance translator. I'm sure most of the conversations that he's translating aren't even that juicy. They're not even privileged information between the two countries. It's just like this person lost their passport. And in Tokyo, he decides to coach a middle school baseball team. This is so random, but a lot of people are like, yikes, okay, maybe this is where it starts. Or at least that we know of, it's alleged. I don't know if he was good at baseball. I couldn't find anything in his childhood that indicated he was a baseball fanatic, that he played baseball, but he knew the rules of baseball.
Okay.
So I don't know. He just taught these middle schoolers how to play baseball. And even more random and confusing, these middle schoolers were pretty good at baseball. Like, it's so random. They started competing in baseball tournaments, and after each game, the boys would follow Johnny back to his apartment because these are middle schoolers. Johnny's middle-aged. They would follow him back, and they thought it was so cool that he was this full-fledged adult. He would have all of these imported snacks from the U.S. that were very hard to get in other areas of Japan. It was just fascinating to these middle school boys. He had access to American movies that a lot of Japanese people weren't watching at the time. And Johnny's sister Mary, she's kind of pertinent to this story, but and also to the company later. Mary ran a bar near the U.S. Army base in Tokyo. So Johnny would take the boys there, which again, imagine being a middle schooler being taken to a bar. Like, this is the coolest thing that could ever happen to you. Of course you're going to go. They would eat spaghetti, which also at the time, another rare food to find in Japan. They would hang out, eat spaghetti, and eat snacks. And these boys are allegedly the first victims of Johnny's predatory.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out. It's just so much random shit going on, like baseball, spaghetti, and sexual assault. This is what the fuck? Oh god, this is not what will be on my bingo card at all. This is disgusting.
Behavior.
Well, other than the spaghetti, mostly the sexual assault part is the nastiest part. Well, I don't really like tomatoes, so spaghetti, whatever.
How every company has like an origin story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, the founder was in his mom's basement. You know the one.
The founder was touching children.
Johnny and Associates, the biggest J-pop agency at the time, has a strange origin story. The story starts with a play called West Side Story.
Oh my god, I love that place. Oh my god, I love that place so much. Please don't ruin this play for me.
It's at a time where most plays did not have people singing it.
Maria. Oh my god.
Like most plays were people just acting. It was just straight theater. And it said that singing and dancing plays were popularized by African Americans. And it's entirely possible that the emerging African American music culture had this huge influence on Johnny, considering he was super into jazz and dance. So, which they never get credit for that. But anyway.
I'm not even gonna lie. I'm having flashbacks of West Side Story. I'm still mad they stabbed my nigga, bro. God damn.
So he takes 4 boys from the baseball team to see West Side Story, the play. They're singing on stage, they're dancing on stage, and their lives changed. It was ballet meets jazz style. The boys were so fascinated. Johnny took them again to see it the very next day, and then the next day.
Okay,
and the
all right,
next day
all right.
after.
All right. I don't want to see that much West Side Story. God damn.
Practically every single day until the play stopped airing. They would all giggle on their way back home just dancing through the streets, and they thought about how cool would it be to dance on stage. And Johnny starts thinking. This was at a time in Japan, and I'm telling you, he really was a pioneer for boy groups, maybe even in K-pop, because the way he did it is fascinating. At the time, when you saw a group of men on stage performing and doing anything musical related, it's kind of what you imagine a traditional band. Everyone has an instrument that they play, and they're pretty sedentary on stage. Like, they'll stand there and they'll play their guitar, and you have one lead singer, and most of it is just kind of a little bit of jumping with the music, but that's about it. But Johnny was like, no, what if they don't play any musical instruments and they just focus on dancing on stage? Which is most of the boy groups now, right? And the girl groups. Recently, with the rise of Elvis Presley, Johnny is like, there is so much money to be made in the teenage girl market. So in America, teenage girls were losing their...
This is also hilarious because you know how they say Elvis Presley stole from niggas too? Or inspired or whatever the fuck they want to say. This is amazing, huh?
minds over Elvis freaking Presley, okay? They're going crazy. Not even just teenage girls. The whole world went crazy for Elvis Presley. But Johnny felt it deep in his soul. He wanted his boys to dance. They're already dancing the moves from West Side Story, and they're pretty good. Okay, they were never taught. They just watched the play a couple times, and they know the moves. Johnny's like, I want to make Japanese teenage girls go so crazy for my boys like the American girls go crazy for Elvis.
This nigga made baseball players into what the frick?
And the boys were from the baseball team.
What the hell?
Wow.
It's a really weird origin story.
This is odd.
And so he goes to his older sister, Mary, who runs the bar. And he's like, listen, Mary, the bar. We're about to make teenage girls go wild.
Bro, this is like a terrible movie plot. This is not a good movie plot. Like, this is so bad, it's crazy that it's real. What the fuck? Like, what, bro? Huh?
So they start a talent training agency together.
Wow.
The first group, the 4 boys from the baseball team, were the Johnnies.
Oh, they are the Johnnies.
They are the Johnnies.
Wow.
Wow.
He trained them for the next 3 years, wanting them to be the next Elvis. He even invested money in taking them to LA to get more vocal and dance lessons. They even signed a contract with Warner Brothers, the Warner Brothers. They were going to release an album in the States.
Why the fuck? How? How does this random guy just get seen from the Warner What?
It didn't really plan out the way that it was,
Supposed
anyway.
to?
No album with the Warner Bros, but a few songs, and they did have a pretty good little peak. Johnny realized that these were the people that were around him when he had this big idea, but he needed to go a different route. He wanted even bigger, and he didn't think the Johnnies could go there. So after a while, he disbanded them and focused on making Johnny and Associates and his next big band, the 4 Leaves, including Koji.
They look
The
nice.
4 Leaves?
Yeah, the 4 Leaves. So
Like
his
clovers.
agency, he just wanted it to be a household name. He starts holding auditions, recruiting more talent, and the process that he had is very similar to K-pop nowadays. So you want to debut with JNA? Here's how it works.
I love Stephanie so much. That scared me though. Do 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 do. Shout out to you. Ooh.
First of all, you got to be a boy. They only do boys. I don't know if that's changed, but yeah, they've only do boys. You have to send in an application. You have to attach a photo with your face and a full body shot because, that's what being an idol is all about. It's your visuals. JNA was known for only wanting pretty boys.
Okay.
That's kind of their aesthetic. And I mean, this part isn't that crazy. Like, even in K-pop, every agency kind of has an overall aesthetic that they go for, and you can see that in all of their trainees. But second, if your resume is approved, you're going to be called in for an audition. Most of the people at these auditions would be 12 to 15-year-old boys.
Oh fuck.
Hundreds.
Wow.
Oh fuck.
Hundreds of them would be lined out the door. These are already the boys that pass the audition process or the resume process. Then they go in and they go in with these groups in front of a panel of judges and they do a dance, they do a song. And Johnny was on the panel at every audition. He was known for being very harsh and very decisive. He said that he could take one look at a face and figure out if they could be a star or not. That's it, just one glance. That's all it took. Sometimes out of 100 of boys, like 200 boys that audition, only 2 would become trainees. and not every trainee debuted.
What
The
the
rest
fuck?
were rejected.
All
Then the
right.
next step would be training, and the ones that passed would be entered into JNA as trainees. They would have to move into the JNA dorms with other trainees, and they're not just trained in voice and dancing, which are the most important, but acting and PR training, media training, everything.
Okay.
It said that Johnny was very involved during this part of the process. He is so particular about his trainees. He would practically mentor over them for every little thing. The trainees were told, you are not allowed to have your own life. You're not allowed to have your own thoughts. You're not allowed to have your own social media. We control every aspect of your image. If you thought K-pop was bad, the way that Johnny ran, insane. Insane. He's basically telling them, you are a commodity of my business, so you don't get to have your own identity. You are whoever I say you are. If I say you like sweets and you're a sweet boy, you like sweets and you're a sweet boy. Everything
Boy,
they
fuck
did,
you.
everything they said was so heavily monitored. It was really crazy. He would personally mentor each trainee and try to give them opportunities to work, as backup dancers, appear in TV or in magazines. But ultimately, that's just if he liked you. Every trainee would be forever stuck in this limbo period unless he made the decision that you could debut. Johnny was the only person that could make that decision to give these trainees an actual career. Keep this in mind. After debut, Johnny is way less involved, but the idols would shift into this very strict manager and PR world and enter the life of an idol. Johnny and Associates was basically a boy band factory. Again, this is when this stuff is so rare. Boy bands back then were instrumental. They were all about the instruments and the drums and the guitar. But now you're talking about a bunch of boys, teenage boys, that are just dancing on stage. This was a completely new concept back then. And it killed it. The business model was ingenious. Johnny was a genius marketer. He understood the average Japanese person and how consumerism worked. He knew that in order for teenage girls to be able to spend money on his boy groups, he needed to not only win the love of the teenage girls, but their parents. He's like, no mom is going to sit there and be like, yes, my daughter, please go crazy over this half-naked man on TV. So he wanted all of his boys to be wholesome, innocent, good examples, good role models, relatable, someone that even parents could get behind when they were interviewed.
That's ironic.
That's how he made his boy groups.
That is ironic.
And it
as
worked.
fuck.
Soon enough, his boy groups were on the cover of every magazine, every single show, every single TV ad, every hour of every single day.
Wow.
They were in ads for things like real estate, like contact lenses. They were practically everywhere. Some of his artists even collaborated with big Western names like Bruno Mars. JNA was one of the biggest players in Japan's entertainment industry. Not
Nigga, I be thinking this shit was like in the 70s. What the fuck? What the hell? This is recent as hell.
even their pop industry, just entertainment. They're releasing new groups left and right. And the only thing that they had was the ultimate power. Not just a little bit of power, not just a little bit of money, ultimate power. So, fun fact, Johnny did not let anyone use the idols' photos without explicit permission from him. The idols were not caught outside by paparazzi. The idols were not allowed to post on social media. Photos weren't allowed to be used in newspapers or in print or even online. Even JNA's own website didn't have pictures of their idols until 2011.
Wait, why?
He wanted full control of photos and how they get used. He would sue people if they used any of his idols' photos without explicit permission. When it came to music, Johnny owned the rights and masters to every single song that was ever created by any of the idols, ever. Johnny personally has control over the idols' image, their public image, public perception, and their literal image, like literal photos. If anyone wanted to use a song, they would have to get permission from Johnny himself. He controlled everything, which I know what you're thinking. That's freaking annoying. Why would
Bro, this shit sounds terrible. Like, this actually sounds disgusting.
anyone want to work with Johnny? The public loves Johnny's idols. So all of these newspapers, these magazines, these TV shows, they are begging for Johnny's permission because they will get views. They will get revenue because people will tune in as long as Johnny's idols are in their media. He could control basically every magazine, every newspaper, every TV station, everyone.
That's
because
insane.
all of his boys were the It Boys.
What the hell?
And one of those boys was Koji. Koji has a really, really strong inspirational origin story.
Okay.
He grew up in a fishing village where everyone would scoff at him because, if you tell anyone from a small town that you want to be an idol one day, they're just gonna laugh at you, okay?
That's when I remember when I said I wanted to be an entertainer. And somebody was like, you got to be entertaining to entertain. Listen, bitch. Okay? I'm trying, all right? Fuck you.
Okay. Koji's parents could barely afford food. They're like, you're gonna be an idol? You can't even afford anything but rice right now. When it
Hey, parents, please support your kids' dreams. Please. Just please. Please. Please, bro. Please.
was really bad, his whole family gathered around a table of just rice
Or at least just don't make them feel like shit for it. You know, just don't make them feel like they're less than human because they want to have big dreams.
and beans. And if you think about the way that a lot of Asians eat in general, it's a lot of like family sharing. So just to have rice and beans on the table, it's pretty dire financial situations. I think as a kid, Koji starts dreaming up all of these ways of making it big. He thought, you know what? I'm going to be an Olympian. That was his first dream.
Oh,
Olympic champion. His dream was to get a gold medal and represent Japan and make his parents proud. That was his ticket out of poverty. It's not a random dream. He actually was pretty good at gymnastics, but being an Olympian is very, very expensive. He did not have the proper gym, trainers, coaches. He's good, but there's no way he's going to go up against the best of the best athletes with world-class training behind them. He just had to come to terms with it. It's really hard to be an Olympian when you're broke. And life is very unforgiving. So by the time that he's 15, he ends up dropping out of high school and he's trying to support his parents. This is where his dreams of becoming an idol start. He grows up very fast. He tries taking all these odd jobs in the fishing village, but he decides, I need to go to Osaka, get into a factory, and send money back home because I'm not making good income. This is where he gets exposed to the idol world. It's a bit random, but a lot of these factories, the workers would live in dorms and they would have this little common room with a TV and you could eat like ramen and stuff. He and his roommate were the two teenagers. That's it. Everyone else was like middle-aged men working in this factory. And I guess they felt bad for the two teenage boys. So every time the two teenage boys came in, the TV, you know, at the time they only had like 10 channels and they watched the news. So they'd be like, oh, poor kids. Okay, let's turn on, I don't know, what do young people like? And they would turn on a random show, and it would always be idols dancing. Dancing and singing. And Koji would get so into it, he would literally drop everything, go directly in front of the TV, and dance along. And these old men would just be watching and clapping, and they would try to dance along too. It was like really cute, okay? But Koji was the Johnny's biggest freaking fan, okay? This is before they were disbanded, and they were Johnny's only boy band at the time. Which, side note, Johnny's is now used to refer to any of Johnny Kitagawa's idols.
Okay.
So you're like a junior Johnny if you're a trainee at JNA, and then you could be like, oh, that's a Johnny.
I would hate my
Just
name
in
just
term
off
for
of that.
they work for JNA.
It's a lot of Johnnies.
Anyway,
Jesus Christ.
Koji freaking loved it. It was the highlight of his day. Koji would go to sleep at night dreaming of his life if he were an idol. His friend was a bit more realistic and he just had fun dancing and singing. He never thought that he could ever go on stage. So Koji slowly transitions from working at this iron factory to being a band hand. Someone that travels with the band, helps them set up, like an assist, right? And it's a freaking rough job. It is not glamorous. At least for Koji, it wasn't. He doesn't get paid well. He has to travel with the band in the cargo car.
Oh,
so
shit.
he's just sitting on this cold metal floor of the van, bopping his head on the roof, and there's like guitars slamming into him, drum sets slamming into him. It was just miserable. And since he's from a poor fishing village, anytime the band performed in one of the big cities in Japan, people would start making fun of his accent, calling him mean words that are basically slurs to refer to country boys, basically. And he was just so self-conscious, he just altogether stopped talking. He had so much social anxiety. He was just about to quit because of how rough the pay was, go back to the factory, when he heard the band was going to be performing at a concert.
Ooh, wow.
That the Johnnies were also performing at. So he's like, okay, let me just stick it through, because he didn't even think he was going to get discovered. He had no plans to like go harass Johnny Kitagawa and find a job. He just wanted to see them live in person. He's like, I'm going to quit after I see the Johnnies. And that's when he was discovered by Kitagawa himself.
Wow.
That's how he became Kita Koji. And the Kita part is in honor of Johnny Kitagawa.
Oh, wow.
Johnny really, really liked Koji. He didn't think that he had a funny accent. He just thought he had a very innocent face and a good work ethic. Koji debuted with The Four Leaves, and they were the next big hit. Koji would even do backflips on stage because remember he has a gymnastics background. And Four Leaves was like the One Direction before One Direction. Koji's hard work, it pays off. He's on TV, he's an idol, but things change. Time goes on and leaves fall. For the Four Leaves, it took 10 years for the leaves to start falling apart.
Hey, Stephanie, that was great. I like that. That was great.
10 years after they debut, they were disbanded.
That's a long time,
Audience just wanted something new. And Koji felt like his entire world had fallen apart.
Fuck.
I mean, this was his life. What was he supposed to do now? And this is back before, you know, a lot of idols can make a living going on variety shows and being an entertainer, being a personality, or going into acting. Like, this was before that. It's just, you're done. He genuinely thought that maybe he was meant to die with the Four Leaves. He said, our last performance as the Four Leaves, the boys and I sang so loud and we danced like never before, as if we were freeing ourselves from everything that we had experienced in the past 10 years. Fans were yelling at us, don't quit. But they were yelling for people who don't exist. It was all a facade. On the day of our disbandment, I felt like I received my kiss of death. It's such a big emotion. Like, I can't even imagine it. Koji said that he fell into drugs at this point. He was directionless. He was lost after disbandment. He tried to get into acting, but it didn't really catch on. It proved to be really, really hard to build a new career while struggling with substance abuse. So all he did was write. He wrote a lot to explore his thoughts and his emotions, and exactly 20 years after his debut, he wrote his expose, a book dedicated to his life as an idol, and it was almost a public warning to the newest leading boy band from JNA. He warned them that they are not alone, and what they might have had to do to get where they are is not their fault. He wanted them to know he was on their side, just in case Johnny Kitagawa was sexually assaulting them too. Koji talked about the numerous times he would walk off stage straight into Kitagawa's open arms. How he was just a teenager, but he felt like he owed Johnny something. How he felt like if he didn't do this for Johnny, his career would be over before it even started. He exposed Johnny Kitagawa and
hey yo, Johnny, you probably in hell, cuz I'm like, you in hell, nigga. Fuck that.
Said this was his public warning. There is a predator out there offering to take Japan's children and train them into superstars, but he's assaulting them. It was a really, really raw book. It wasn't a way for him to get attention or like back into the spotlight, which a lot of people accuse him of writing the book for that. If you know what it's like in any culture coming out with allegations of abuse against someone so popular and loved, it's terrifying. In East Asian culture, particularly in Japan, where politeness is not a positive but a mandatory, where politeness is the bare minimum, this is not normal. This is not like clout. But he hoped that he could save future trainees from this type of abuse. He wrote in his book that during his trainee days, Johnny would invite him into his room. Johnny would take his private parts into his mouth and would not stop until the deed was done, if you will. Koji said Johnny did this almost every single night for 4 to 5 years while Koji was a trainee. Koji said it was confusing because Johnny would basically convince him that these assaults were acts of love. He made it seem like he wasn't abusing him. He
so nasty, bro.
was just taking care of him in a way that every single good caretaker or guardian would.
Yeah, your caretaker and guardian shouldn't be fucking you. Get the fuck out of here, bro. No, stop it. Ugh. No.
He provided these boys with everything, you know, their lives, their future, and even their family's livelihood. And Johnny knew that. Even if they could see through his mental manipulation, how are they going to say no? How are these trainees going to say, no, that's not an act of love. That's literally assault. There were more than enough reasons for their brains to convince themselves, actually, maybe this is what I want too. Many of them thought that this is just the price of being an idol. Koji said that he lived with Johnny for a while, like a married couple. But once he got famous, Koji felt like he could kind of reject Johnny's advances just a little bit. He finally felt a little bit of power. And it wasn't a lot, like nowhere near what Johnny still had over him, but a little bit of something. He was still terrified of Johnny's reaction to his rejections, but Johnny didn't seem to care. Koji said that he just moved on to younger trainee idols. Koji said this was one of the big reasons that he turned to drugs in the first place. He thought that if the sexual assault during his trainee days was indeed love, it was just the admission price to his dream life. He just thought, this is what I have to pay. And maybe it's worth it if my parents don't struggle anymore. So he convinces himself this. And once he debuts as an idol, he's like, oh, okay, this is what I worked so hard for. And maybe it was worth it. And I'm just so busy. So he's busy with his schedule and everything that he has as an idol. He didn't think too much into it. He tried not to. He just distracted himself. But once the band disbanded, he was left alone with his thoughts and he was just so torn. Side note, this is a thing that happens frequently when someone is assaulted before they've matured or mentally developed. They might believe that it's not assault, especially if they've been groomed. But a lot of times, these kids will turn into adults and realize that the thoughts of having any similar relations with minors make someone to gag. They start realizing that what they experience is not love. It's not parental love. It's not big brother love. They realize it's straight up assault.
Full. And also it's like it also a factor that like your whole reality has been shattered. I've come to a realization that a lot of people don't like their reality to be shattered, and the reaction you might get might be anger towards the person who shattered the reality. Like, say like you try to teach somebody something new or just show them that like their life probably was a lie. It's like waking up someone who's sleepwalking. Like it's insane. Like it's really insane.
Like, as an adult, they can never imagine doing
My heart goes
that.
out to those people, bro.
And that's when it slowly dawns on them that they were groomed. That's most likely what happened to Koji. So he releases this book, and it does pave the way for a lot of other victims to come forward with their experiences. But overall, everything is just swept under the rug. And it's not because there's no substance behind these claims, but because JNA has such a strong grip over the media. They're a huge mega corporation at this point. If anyone was going to release any information about these allegations, JNA would cut them off from their idols. And without these idols, these news publications, newspapers, magazines, TV stations, their revenue would be obliterated. Which is crazy because something as explosive as allegations of predatory behavior from one of the most powerful people in the entertainment industry, I mean, you would imagine that it's all over the news, right? So a lot of the public, they understandably thought, well, those are just rumors. If there was evidence, it would have been on like CNN. It would have been on all these big news stations. Some people went as far to claim that Koji was just looking for another moment in the spotlight. They chalked it up to him struggling with being irrelevant. Side note,
You know what's crazy? She said 20 years after he debuted. If somebody wants to be back in the spotlight, two things probably could happen. One, they probably ran out of money. And two, I would believe if they want to be back in the spotlight, I would believe it wouldn't take 10 years for them to be back in the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, a lot of people want instant gratification. So, I don't know, bro. I don't know.
I know there might be people like, well, oh my God, people always sleep with their bosses to make more money. And then they want to say something about the power imbalance later. Koji, okay, first of all, that whole thinking is really messed up. But Koji wasn't even making idol money, okay? I just want to tell you, even now it's pretty common knowledge that idols, especially in J-pop, K-pop, they still give a pretty sizable chunk to their labels. But back then, Koji was making $1,000 a month. That is calculated with inflation. Near the end, when he was the peak of the peak, like imagine he is Blackpink, he's BTS, okay? Well, maybe not on like a global scale, but you get it. Like he was the top name in J-pop. He was making $17,000 a month, which is a lot, don't get me wrong. But can you imagine being Taylor Swift and making $17,000 a month? Think about how much the agency is pocketing. They're pocketing probably millions of dollars a month.
Yeah.
Sounds like they give the idols like 0.1% of what they're actually making.
Absolutely nothing. Like you're the it guy of the nation making $17K a month.
It's like Spotify giving like the artists the money from streaming.
It doesn't even make sense.
Oh,
Four Leaves
Lord.
was bringing in millions of dollars of revenue
The
for J&A every single year, and Johnny was just taking it all. When the band was disbanded, J&A paid them a small severance fee of $70,000. That's it. $70,000, not a month, just a one-time fee. They're still young. That isn't even enough to retire.
Exactly.
I mean, just think about it. You were bringing in millions and millions of dollars, and now you don't have enough to retire. You can't get a normal job because people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, can I get your autograph?" Like, can you imagine being a cashier and they're like asking for your autograph? Your boss would fire you.
Yeah.
But then you can't stay in the limelight because Japanese entertainment is kind of like Korea, where it's predominantly run by a couple of agencies. So if you're not signed with one of them, it's really hard to get airtime.
Oh my God. What the fuck?
I do think that there was a brief Four Leaves reunion, but other than that, he remained relatively private. Koji got married, he got divorced. Eventually, he settled down and had a daughter. Sadly, in 2011, he was diagnosed with liver cancer, and he passed away. What's heartbreaking is before he passed, he posted
Rest in peace to Koji, bro. What the fuck?
on his blog. His final entry was released by his management company, and they said that Koji lived a happy life and asked his fans to not grieve for him. He even addressed Johnny and Johnny's business partner / sister directly, saying, "Thank you. I'm grateful for you." He had every right to be angry and bitter about the abuse, but he wasn't.
I respect
He just
that, though.
wanted to show gratitude to the people in the business that had made his dream come true, even if it was only for a little while. But that doesn't change the fact that the story doesn't really have a happy ending.
Exactly.
After Koji, many more boys become Johnny's prey. The next book to come out was written by Ryo Natakani. Natakani was one of the original members of the very first band. He was part of the Johnnies. He was one of the baseball boys. He had known Johnny since his middle school days, since his baseball team days, and he alleged Johnny was sexual with all of them while he was coaching baseball. He said some of their middle school baseball teammates were as young as 11 years old when the assault started. Natakani alleged that at least for him, Johnny would invite them to his apartment, and it was the first time that Johnny and Natakani were alone. And Johnny said that, just like be comfortable. Natakani did not have anything to worry about, or at least he didn't think so. He trusted Johnny like an older brother. But that's when the sexual advances started.
Ew.
Johnny started touching him through his pants, eventually undressed him. And it was weird because he made it seem like it was completely natural and completely normal.
That's
He'd
disgusting.
say things like, "Oh, if you do this, this feels good."
That's fucking
And he just
nasty.
kept going until Natakani had finished.
That's fucking nasty.
Natakani had
dude.
no idea what the
Ew.
hell was going on. I mean, he's still so young. This was the first few years of being a teenager, and this is back in the 50s, where I don't know if they even had sex ed. They had no means of figuring it out. There was really no readily accessible internet where these young kids could realize what was going on. So he thought, okay, well, maybe this is how people hang out. He went back to some of his baseball teammates, and they said, the same thing happened to me too. Once they realized that Johnny had done this to all four of them, they thought, oh, well, then for sure this is just a normal thing. Because it happened to all of us. I mean, it does feel strange,
That's
but
so sad.
maybe we're just young.
That's so
Natakani said
sad.
he didn't realize he was a victim of SA until he was much, much older.
How the fuck do these kids say, like, it's probably okay? Because we're young. How do y'all conscious of that? I was not that conscious as a child. What the hell?
He said, at the time, I didn't know how important sexual behaviors were, so I didn't really feel violated. Then when I
Wow.
got older, I realized how different my first experiences of sex were from other people's.
Hey, Slim. Oh, my God. One thing that I find so crazy is, like, that moment when you probably realize that. What the fuck? This is like, oh, my God. Like, I'm not trying to equate it, but when, like, you realize some shit and you like, wow. But then, like, you would realize some shit like this. You would be like, no. Like, my heart goes out to no, bro. Nah, son. Oh, my Lord.
And that kind of came as a huge shock to me. I'm like, what do you mean your baseball teacher didn't do that to you? After Natakani grew up and the Johnnies were no longer playing, he fell into drugs to help him cope with all these realizations. And so now Koji and Natakani, two of the biggest names to come out of J&A at the time, they're coming out with these allegations. More and more boys start coming out. And side note, a lot of these boys chose to stay anonymous. Keep that in mind. But one of them said, Mr. Johnny would call me. He would invite me to the dormitory to have dinner, and then he'd say, "Why don't you go to sleep?" When I went to bed, he would come into my room and he would get into my bed. He touched my genitals and he put them in his mouth. Then he would apply something slimy and start the penetrations. In the BBC documentary, a trainee named Junya said that he started training with JNA when he was just 16 years old. He trained for 6 years, but he never debuted. The BBC journalist asked him about his experience, and he said, "Johnny's main job was scouting and developing talent. Johnny always came to my lessons, rehearsals, and the shows. He always came. He would always invite us to dinner and to the movies or for a drive. Johnny definitely was someone with certain habits. He definitely had an overly affectionate way with children. From my experience, there was only one boy who didn't like it and ran away." The reporter asked, what does that refer to, like he was affectionate with children? He would put his hands all over our bodies and fondle the precious parts. The boys were elementary or middle school aged. Most of them had no sexual experience. The former trainee said, "We would even joke today that our first sexual experience was with Johnny."
Oh, fuck.
And I'm sure many kids went along with it, had no understanding that they were being hurt, but there were also kids who understood and were like, "Johnny, I love you," and went towards him and towards the assaults. In fact, my impression is that kids were fighting for Johnny's attention. So another huge thing to note, there is an obvious power imbalance here. The boys are brainwashed into thinking that what Johnny was doing was love and was completely normal.
Bro, first things first, the nigga is like middle-aged as fuck. Second things second, this nigga is like the most powerful man that they have probably ever seen in their lives. Like, it's just layers on top of layers of like, dog, this is crazy. And then the mental blocks is just like, wow, okay. Oh my God.
Johnny literally...
These kids were really robbed of just like everything. And it's so sad, bro.
held their entire future in their hands. He could ruin their dreams with the snap of a finger. Also, if these boys didn't know that what Johnny...
And it's also crazy. Niggas could stop all this shit. Never mind, I'm not going to say that.
...was doing was wrong, they probably consider it the price of admission into being an idol. The reporter asked, "So you wouldn't consider that a boundary was overstepped?" He nervously laughed and waved his hand in front of his face. The victim on the BBC documentary said, "He didn't get me that much. I wasn't sexually abused or anything. There were just some massages that went a tiny bit further. It felt like family." The reporter asked, "Do you think the other boy's parents had a clue about what was going on?"
Of course not.
Yes, of course. The parents knew the truth, but they wanted their kids to get in.
Slum, nah. Y'all parents out there that be putting y'all kids in these positions, y'all are fucked up too. I understand times is hard, but it comes to a point where you gotta, nah, nigga. Oh, hell nah. You was not finna sell your kid off because you down bad like that. Hell freaking no. Oh, no, that's nasty, cuz.
Their kids, "You'd better offer your arse to Johnny." So it was common knowledge that Johnny was a homosexual with a liking for young boys. The
Johnny's a
knew, but
freaky
fuck.
No. Johnny's a freaky
Can
fuck.
you see how...
Johnny is a freaky fuck. Honestly, bro, if they interview me, I'd say Johnny is a freaky fuck. That is it. That is all. Get that nigga the fuck up out of here.
That crosses the boundary into something criminal? The victim says if he really was a criminal or committed a crime, he wouldn't have had all that support. But Japan accepted him and elevated his business to the top.
I got something to tell you, my friend. Wish it would.
That's how Japan is. So there is so much to dissect from this interview. And just a quick disclaimer, I am no therapist or psychologist, and this is not a professional analysis. But from my non-qualified perspective, I feel like the victim is almost kind of running from reality. Like maybe he's heard other boys come forward and call Kitagawa's actions pedophilia, criminal, sexual assault, and rape. And I think maybe he himself doesn't want to think of himself as a victim of all of those things.
Or maybe from my unprofessional opinion, or just my opinion of being somebody who's went through some shit like that, not with a grown man, but just like that in general. Some people really just move on. And it's weird and it's kind of scary as hell. And it's also sad. Cause like some people would be like willy-nilly about it. Just like, it happened. Yeah. Let's move on. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh God. I've stopped myself. Well, I've just like assessed myself. I'm like, yo, is there something wrong with me? Cause niggas just be like, cause bro, I'm gonna be honest, bro. I don't know what it is. And I'm not even about to go on too much of a tangent. But I've been through a lot of shit in my life. And when I be talking to people, I just say it as if it was normal. Like, remember when I got stopped by the police and I said, bro, I almost died today. I almost got shot by police. And I just said it just normally. And some people were like, I was reading in y'all comments. Some of y'all was like, bro, how can you just say that and just be like, oops? You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's wrong with me. I really don't. But then again, I've been through a lot of shit. So I don't know. I guess we just push forward. I don't know. I need to get an analysis or something. I don't know. Whatever. Let's keep talking about Johnny the freaky fuck.
He could be using Kitagawa's fame and power to justify that. Maybe he's thinking, well, a criminal wouldn't have all of this success. A criminal would be in prison.
No.
If Japan had made this man successful and given him all of this support, he can't be evil.
I feel bad for people who think like that too. I'm not even gonna call them stupid. I just feel bad.
That's a fallacy. Someone can be a hard worker and a business genius and a master marketer and also be a pedophile and a rapist.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is, Genya said that the boys' parents knew what Kitagawa was doing, but they didn't care, and even told their sons to offer themselves to Johnny if it meant that they'd become an
There's this place in hell for you parents that be on that type of timing.
idol. That sounds despicable. I could believe it, maybe, if it was one or two parents, but so many, I don't know how to feel about it. Like, honestly, statistic-wise, I'm also wondering if that's not true.
I don't know.
Maybe it's just I don't want to believe that hundreds of parents
I don't
would
want to
be
believe
A-okay
that.
with their sons getting abused.
I don't want to believe
But
that.
maybe when Genya was an idol, the boys played Kitagawa's abuse off like it was nothing. And maybe they said their parents were okay with it because maybe they didn't tell their parents the true extent of the abuse. The BBC doc is controversial in the fact that it never expands on that. I almost feel like the journalist didn't know what questions to ask to get more information on this, so he just kind of skipped over it. There's going to be more about this BBC doc in a second.
Okay.
But another victim said that he was first assaulted when he was a trainee.
Also, I'm stealing that name from that BBC doc.
Johnny told him to go to the bathroom and take a bath. Johnny even helped him fill the bath, and the trainee genuinely thought that this Johnny, CEO, founder, was so kind. But then he tried to take his clothes off. And the trainee kept telling Johnny, I can do it myself, like, thank you, but you can leave now. But Johnny continued silently undressing him.
Oh my God, what the fuck? It's just added layers of nasty. Like, why the fuck are you quiet? Like, ew, nigga.
Until he was naked.
Ugh.
Then he put him in the bath and washed his whole body like he was a doll. Then he was told to come back and...
What does this have to do with music? None of this shit has anything to do with music.
He did tell his trainee friend, and the trainee friend said, your dreams have been shattered, but you have to put up with it or else you won't succeed.
I don't understand how these people get like this, though. Because you know how, like, with the R. Kelly thing, because I watched that crazy-ass documentary, The Surviving R. Kelly, and they talked about how he was touched as a child. Okay, boom. We have a what's it called? A line that goes to how that happened, even though it's not an excuse. But still, there's a paper trail of possibly what could have not caused this, but like triggered something that did all this shit, I guess. From this story that she's told, it's just like he doesn't have a fucking background that would make sense for him to be a pedo. Or maybe he's just fucked up in the brain. Because from what I'm hearing, war, baseball, spaghetti, and Lil Tokyo, like, and just the magic of an Elvis, like, none of this shit it doesn't make sense. I don't understand. Like, and I'm not a psychologist either.
So the assaults continued. He said Johnny would bother him all night long, even until he saw the sun come up. Nobody around him was quitting because of it, so he was confused whether or not this was really that bad. If it was really that bad, wouldn't all the trainees quit?
No.
Besides, there were no other adults that you could really talk to about it, so it was hard to speak up. He said, the boys that became famous thanks to Johnny, their lives changed the moment they entered the agency. I think they're all just very grateful. But their careers are very different from the sex crimes that took place. So I think that's what makes it even tougher for victims. On one hand, you have a predator. On the other hand, when this predator is not preying on you and assaulting you, he can be sweet and kind and a business genius that can make your career dreams come true. You almost start to reason with yourself that this is the price you pay.
It's like a for me, I would think it's like a give and take type thing. I don't know. I just feel like you're just it's just you, and then you have this big name person assaulting you, and then you got the people around this big name person who are not doing shit about it, and then if you tell people, then they probably won't believe you, and then the people that it's getting done to you all have it gotten done to them. So it's just y'all four, or just y'all that are just like, yo, this has happened to us. What is happening? So y'all have like a kind of not really a sense of community, but a sense of trauma bonding. So it's just like, it might be y'all against the world for real. Like y'all dealing with this fucking devil. Nobody's listening. Some people are in cahoots. Some people are complacent. I can see why they won't say nothing. I can literally see that. Because if nobody's going to show that they're going to believe you and do some shit about it, in my opinion, why the fuck would you even say? What's the point of even saying it? It's like you're just talking into thin air. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the reasons why I don't even talk about my feelings a lot when it comes to like certain. No, let me stop. It's not even about that. Keep going.
One victim states that they were assaulted by Johnny, but said this: to put it simply, I don't dislike Johnny. In fact, I really like him. Even now, I love him. Johnny was really a wonderful person, and I owe him a lot. I still think that we are treated with a lot of love, which is why I can smile and talk about what happened now. A lot of the victims even talk about wanting more attention from Johnny and almost fighting over him because it was a status symbol to be favored by Johnny. It meant something for your career. One trainee said, and I think that this shows how complicated it is, this reminds me of the JMS cult situation, where girls would feel honored to be chosen as the Lord's bride, but on the other hand, they felt absolutely disgusted by what was being done to them because they were essentially being R-worded by a predator, but in their heads, they're like, I am the Lord's bride. It just became this exhausting internal mental battle that they should have never been forced to fight in the first place.
Exactly. And also, there's like an also thing, this is TMI for all the youngins out there, because I'm about to start talking about sex. Like, it's like a chemical thing when it comes to sex. And if you take someone who hasn't had sex, also a child who is like you've given them, well, not given them, you've taken their innocence away, and you forced them into this. You were the person who introduced them to sex. So in the brain, it probably will, like, it's fucked up, bro. Cause hearing like she's saying like that they were like fighting for his attention. Oh God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't even go into it.
The victim said, regarding Johnny's sexual harassment allegations, if I'm honest, I don't really think it was that bad. It's true that those things are something that really happened in the dorms. I just don't think that his motives for doing what he did was that bad.
Man.
No one really dug deep into it. Everyone knew that it was just something that you have to go through as part of JNA, but nobody really cared too much about it. At the time, there were rumors that if you accepted Johnny's advances, you would be famous. So I don't think you can blame either side. To be honest, my dream was to be famous, so I think I would have just accepted it. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. When it comes to shit like this, I'm not about to blame the victim. I'm not blaming the victim. When it comes out that some people voluntarily have sex with someone who's higher up to get ahead, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's still the person who's ahead, like who's at the top, whose fault it is. You know what I'm saying? Like it's something like this. I read about something, or I've heard of something like, if you give people an opportunity to do something, there's a lot of odds that they're gonna take it. if you dangle success in somebody's head, in somebody's face, and all they have to do is like have sex with you, in my opinion, and this is for like consenting adults, in my opinion. It's weird and it is a power imbalance, but I'm not blaming the person who does not have the power. I'm not doing that. I'm not about to call you no hoe because you had sex with somebody for some fame. I'm not doing that. I'm not fucking doing that, bro. Like, no. Like, this shit is... But once it comes to children... Never in my... Bro, I'm not even gonna lie. Some of the people saying, like, he's trying to get back in the limelight, I'm not even gonna say that, bro, because his whole innocence was taken away. His whole shit was just it was just taken away. Whatever he does when it comes to this nigga, and I don't give a fuck. Hey, Slim, if I'm the type nigga to, if I got assaulted from somebody who's taken my childhood away and my innocence and assaulted me, I'm taking him for whatever he has. I don't give a fuck if I'm clout chasing. I don't care. Nigga, I got molested. What are you talking about? Who are you to tell me, nigga, I had my shit taken away from me. My shit taken away from me. And you about to be mad at me for putting out a book? You about to be mad at me for taking this freaky fuck to court? What is that? I don't want that goddamn... What the fuck? That scared the shit out of me. I forgot my thing be doing that. Let me turn these reactions off. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, yeah, I can also do this, too. Anyway, bro. No. I don't give a fuck what the victim does. I'm not about to be doing that. The only time when I be like, bro, the victim is tripping is if they're lying. Okay? That's it. And even then, I won't know if they're lying. So like I said before, I'm on the victim's side. Talking about, oh, he just trying to get back in the limelight. Nigga, he fucked me. You have the audacity to get mad at me for talking about him fucking me in attempts to save other people from getting fucked? Like, come on, get the fuck out of here, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I think if it happened to me, I would have just accepted it.
Wow.
Again,
Wow.
I am nowhere near qualified enough to begin unpacking this, but let's listen to someone who is. The BBC doc did interview Nabuki, a therapist who specializes in helping male survivors of sexual abuse.
Oh, sure.
He gave off really calming vibes, and he just had this aura that was very, very peaceful. He said, it can be self-protection in some ways to deny that it was abuse. In order to survive, you don't want to fight the abuse. So rather than the painful, traumatic sexual abuse trauma, why not make it more fun and loving in your memory? And often abusers, they will use this very natural thing to their advantage. It's also very natural for our bodies to feel pleasure, even if we don't want it. And often abusers will even tell them, look, your body, it's physically reacting, so you must be enjoying it, which in the long term is going to affect with your mental perception of this abuse.
I'm not even gonna lie. I did that. Like, I did that. I was like, bro, I was like, well, I mean, it felt good. I froze, but it felt good. And then I was going through the mental gymnastics of, is that what it was? I don't know. I'm not going to unpack my shit because I don't want to do that. But it's just like, God damn. Like, God damn, bro. I just feel so bad.
That's what makes it so complicated and confusing. And Japan has, what he says, a culture of shame. If something's your personal problem, you don't talk about it because it brings a burden to the people that you're talking to about.
Yes.
That's another reason why I don't really like putting all my like shit out to other people. And like say like I'm feeling a certain type of way. I don't like talking about it because if I trauma dump, I trauma dump. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm ever trauma dumping, I'm probably going to say it as a joke. That's me though, because like, yeah, it happened. But like, I'm just trying to make light of it because, bro, I'm not trying to go into them dark places, bro. I'm not. Them dark places is not fun. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of a Korean thing as well. So any problem that you bring up to a group of people, you are now burdening them with this problem, because if they didn't know this problem existed, they would not be in a pickle where they have to think, what do we do now? Sexual abuse makes it even harder in Japan, and especially harder for male sexual abuse victims. Side note, we're going to get into it, but another trainee kind of confirmed this mental manipulation that Johnny used, and they stated, we would go to Johnny's house. His house was like Disneyland. And it's not like I was sexually harassed every single time. Besides, I came to understand if I accepted his actions, I would gradually be appointed to better positions during TV recordings and magazine shoots. There was another trainee who rejected him, and he was always put at the edge of the stage where no one could see him. After all, I was just happy to see my band was doing well and that my bandmates were doing well too. So I thought that my actions possibly getting in the way of upsetting our band or making the band worse, or even disappointing the fans, I just didn't want to do anything that would cause problems.
You don't know what's also crazy? Like, you know how, like, say, like, you know how, like, so all my working people out there, like, who, all y'all who's watching this, you know, some days you be going through the motions and, like, you probably don't even be thinking about it. Like, thinking about, like, what you've done or what you do to get through the day. But say, like, the day, like, you're just going through the motions, or you're probably on autopilot. Like, these guys have probably, like, just dealt with it as if it was, like, all in a day's work. I clock in and clock out. Like, it's just... And also, so if y'all know about this, let me know. Like, do y'all know, like, when you get into a sense of, like, limbo, of where you're like doing the same thing over and over and over and over, and it feels like you're stuck in a time loop? I'm not gonna say imagine this, but like I can imagine like them being stuck in this nasty ass time loop, and it's just back to back to back to back, and it just keeps stacking to where they get desensitized to the where they even be like praising this nasty fuck. It's so sad. Ugh.
Wow. So he's thinking that if he reject him, his bandmates will suffer and fans will suffer.
Because
Like,
they wouldn't be featured anymore, and they'd
Another
be like, why are you not
layer.
putting out
Oh
new
my
music?
God.
Some people recommended that I go to the police at the time, but I was going to Kitagawa's place on my own accord. It's not like he forced me, and I didn't feel like I was hurt in any way, so I couldn't see myself as a victim. I think a lot of other former trainees also felt the same way. But essay is still essay, and allegations against someone Johnny's size should have been explosive, right? There were a ton of allegations coming out left, right, and center, one after the other, most of them including very moving, very detailed, specific statements from victims. So why was this not international news? Why is Johnny Kitagawa not talked about the same way that we now talk about Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, all these people? Why is he so beloved by so many? And from just these victim statements alone, we can conclude that there's probably more victims that have not come forward. So why haven't they, even anonymously? There are a lot of things that go into this. For one, these are male victims of sexual trauma. These boys, so far, all became victims in the 80s or 90s. It's really difficult for male victims to come out today, but imagine how much harder it was 30, 40 years ago. The Japanese public, and really around the world, do not think that men can be victims of sexual crime.
Imagine getting laughed at after telling your story. That's not fun.
Rape is something that happens to women.
And also, I'm a big person. I'm like 6 feet tall. Kind of stocky. Like, dude, like, it's happened. Why are you laughing? It's actually crazy because I get to a point where I kind of like laugh about it too. But that's just me trying to cope with this shit. But it's just like, why are you laughing? Like, why? Why is this funny? Why is it funny?
And even then, nobody cares. Japan-
Exactly. And then it's like, nobody cares.
And didn't even legally qualify men as rape victims. Japan's law up until 2017, 17, did not recognize that men could be victims of sexual violence. The age of consent also in Japan to this day is 13. 13.
Just because just because it's legal does not mean it's morally right. I'm gonna say this again for the people in the back. Just because it's legal does not mean it's morally right. One more time. Just because it's legal does not mean it's morally right.
Do you know what that means? That means if a person convinces a 13-year-old to have sex with them, no matter the age or power dynamic, that person cannot be held legally responsible because the 13-year-old was not tied down.
That's fucked. That's so fucked. That's so fucked. And also a side note that's actually interesting in my opinion. Just like, this Me Too movement and stuff and how all these women are coming out about the sexual assault stuff. The amount of things that I have seen is very heartbreaking, and the people that I have like talked to or confided in have done some heartbreaking shit of what they've said, which is also another reason why I don't really like talking about it for real, or I just don't like when I'm talking to my women counterparts when we speak on stuff like that, or if they're telling me their stories, I don't want to bring up mine because like I don't want to like overshadow it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do that because I know what it's like to be overshadowed. That shit's not fun. But then again, I was actually at a point where it was like I don't want to go unheard. Now I'm just like, hey, it happened. Yeah. But it's just all this shit is just interesting as hell to me, honestly. And also, I do apologize if I do talk about that shit a lot, cause I don't want to like be a burden or anything. I'm just like talking it as it has happened. So it's just like I'm just talking about it. So I do apologize if I ever like bring your energy down with me talking about it. I just believe that it's like this is the time and place to talk about it because what we're talking about. So yeah. Trust me, I believe that I'm fine. I know what happened to me is fucked up. But I'm just talking as the conversation is going. So, but once again, please forgive me cuz I don't want to talk about this shit so many times where it just seems like, bro, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying?
Basically, sexual assault and exploitation of men isn't just taboo, it is invisible.
Yep.
The boys who came out only got judged. People would say, "What do you mean you got raped? You're a man." That's like saying, "What do you mean your wallet got stolen? You're 5'7". How does that even correlate? It doesn't even correlate.
It correlates in the sense of you having a patriarchal mindset. It does correlate because, like, why didn't you beat their ass? Well, I froze. There's your ether right there. I fucking froze.
The victims who did come out on the record, meaning with their face and their names attached to the story, they had trouble existing in society afterwards. Not only did they have to deal with their trauma, but it was hard finding jobs who would hire them because a lot of East Asian cultures don't like troublemakers, don't like outspoken people. Because people who accuse other people of sexual assault, quote, rock the boat. And East Asia is known for not liking people who rock the boat and make waves. Japan also has huge politeness culture, and being impolite isn't just annoying or rude, it's socially unacceptable. And it's a big belief that to inconvenience others should be avoided at all costs. Accusing someone of sexual assault is inconveniencing people. It makes people uncomfortable hearing about the story, which is also rude.
That's fucking
and most
insane.
people shy away from discussing topics like this.
That's fucking insane. Imagine you come out by saying like this happened to me, and somebody be like, "Hey, bro, chill out, bro. You making me sad, nigga." What? Like, excuse me? Nigga, fuck you. What?
So this type of environment discourages victims from calling out their abusers, especially if they're people of power. Just the act of throwing out allegations burdens the workers, and if the police were to investigate or if the company were to go under because of that, it would burden the employees and the idols, and it's just, you are a bad person.
Well, guess what? The owner of this company, I didn't ruin this company. The owner ruined this company. The owner did this for 50 years. If you do something for 50 years, you're kind of syndicated. So your company is syndicated upon sexual assault. So you're going to have to wear that jacket. Your company's wearing that jacket. Oh, you work for the company? You worried about the PR? Guess what, buddy? You get a jacket too. What size jacket do you want? Because it's a nasty one. You better hope it fits.
Considering all of this, I really do admire the people who have come out. There are so many obstacles, but they were brave enough to stand up.
Shout
They
out to
put
them.
themselves through all of this in hopes to save future trainees. But still, I mean, I would imagine that there would be some mainstream media outlets because, I get it. Media is controlled by people with money and power, but sometimes things get too big and you can't not cover it. Nope. The only newspaper was a local newspaper called the Shukan Banshan that was covering it, and they were the only ones that had no fear of going up against JNA. A few sources online refer to Banshan as a tabloid, but others say that they're a highly regarded source for investigative journalism, and I am inclined to believe the latter because Banshan actually went up against the Japanese government at one point, and that was a whole scandal for them.
Oh,
But they
shit.
start picking up stories from Kitagawa's victims. They publish a few allegations, 9 to be exact, because this is important, because all 9 allegations are going to be taken to court. 1. If the boys refused the advances, Mr. Kitagawa would place them in a bad position on stage, out of the limelight, or they would not appear on television altogether. 2. Mr. Kitagawa let the minors drink alcohol and smoke on a daily basis in the dorms. 3. When his underage pop group Junior 4 were taken under custody for shoplifting, JNA conspired with affiliated TV networks to put a lid on the story and keep it from being reported. This also happened with other similar incidents. 4. JNA and the particular office managers singled out members of the Four Leaves pop group for abuse and mistreatment. 5. Adult talent who had previously worked for JNA were treated coldly for long periods of time. 6. The underage boys were given such busy schedules they weren't able to attend school. 7. The talent employed by JNA were routinely not paid money owed to them. 8. JNA-affiliated fan clubs were managed in such a way that they ignored the fans. And 9. The mass media is scared of JNA, only prints flattering things about them. They published 14 articles about JNA, and the journalists were able to find 12 boys who gave victim statements. One of them was only 12 years old. This time, the case blew up. Banshan basically alleged the top entertainment conglomerate of being rotten and being led by a pedophile. Of course, there's going to be a reaction. Kitagawa read the article, so did everyone else at JNA. This wasn't some ex-idol that came out, and this was an article that a reputable news outlet had published. This could bring down their entire company. So Kitagawa sued them. JNA sued Banshan for libel, which basically means they sued Banshan on the grounds that their article was full of lies, made them lose out on profit, and caused damage to the company off of falsehoods. Banshan fired back that their article was not full of lies, and that they were going to stand by the journalists that wrote the articles. They went to court. 2 of the 12 victims who talked to the journalists were willing to appear in court. And you have to remember, these 2 victims were not subpoenaed. So technically, they didn't have to testify because this was not a criminal investigation. They would gain nothing from it either way. They weren't being asked by prosecutors to do this. They just wanted to stand by what they said. But when the defense asked one of the boys what feeling they had towards Johnny as they sat there in the witness box, the victim said, "I wish he lived a long, good life." Most people saw this as how manipulated and brainwashed these boys were, but Kitagawa was like, "See? I'm not assaulting these boys. They like me." He denied everything in court. He said that the boys were lying and that this was affecting his personal image. He said that he couldn't sexually assault anyone because 20 years ago, he had an operation on his private parts for a disease. And
Wait, fuck you and your disease pickle dick, bitch. How the fuck... Nigga, we in Japan, and there's a sense of politeness. Obviously, he's going to say he hopes he lives a long, good life. Obviously. What? Like, what?
after that surgery, he lost all sexual function. He
Shut
submitted
up.
a medical certificate to prove this, but the certificate said nothing other than the fact that he had surgery. Now, you
Yeah,
can
he
have
did
the surgery and not have your sexual function impacted. Like, it's not A plus B equals C.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I got LASIK surgery, so I can't have R-worded that person.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, doesn't really make sense. Basically, the courts were like, you can't prove that your private parts don't work, so we don't really care if you had surgery or not. Johnny went on stage and he would just talk in circles just really not answering anything. So I'll give you an example. When Kitagawa was being cross-examined, the prosecutors asked, or Bunchen's side asked, simply put, why did boy A lie? Can you give me a short answer, please? You think that boy A lied because he was lonely? That's what you said, right? In short, I think that both boy A and boy B are in the same place right now. But that is just pure speculation. It's just that I found both boy A and boy B myself. You know, they are now friends, but in such a lonely existence. In short, even if we say that we're a family, there are people who will think that. Therefore, as I said yesterday, there is nothing more lonesome than not having blood ties. In that sense, maybe it was me that was lonely. So to make it clear, I don't resent the boys or anything, but to say that the boys lied, like Your Honor said, it's hard for me to say they made a false statement. Honestly, I never meant to sexually harass
This nigga is talking so fucking much.
anyone. But the boys were so adorable, and the bond that we had was very strong that I felt it was terrible that we were not blood relatives. I was merely trying to bridge this gap. When suddenly the boys cried harassment. The reason they claim harassment is not because they dislike gay activity. They just wanted to betray me.
I'm so glad this nigga's stupid.
I'm sure they feel guilty about it now. But I can't definitely say that their testimony is entirely made up.
I'm
So he just admitted to.
so confused. What is he trying to say?
He's basically saying that the boys have no family members who love them, so Johnny Kitagawa was trying to be like a dad figure to them, but then the boys mistook it as sexual harassment, and now they're crying sexual harassment.
You touched my dick. You put my penis in your mouth.
But they probably feel guilty about it now because all he did was be nice to them.
I see.
But then he's like, also, I can't say for sure that I didn't sexually harass them. Basically these boys are troubled and crying abuse because they're lonely.
But he's going to say that he's not going to say that I did what?
And it also was not a short answer, okay? Does that sound like a short answer?
No.
Does that also not sound like an admission of
It sounds like an admission of guilt. That's literally an admission of guilt, but okay.
guilt, you guys? The court did not agree. They sided with Johnny Kitagawa and ordered Bunchen to pay $70,000 in damages adjusted for inflation.
No.
Bunchen again refused.
No,
They
nigga.
appealed to the Japanese High
Nigga, I'm not paying this freaky fuck. What?
Court, and this time the High Court ruled in favor of Bunchen. So
Thank
they
you.
won, which adds more weight to the allegations. But this libel case never led to a criminal one. J&A tried to appeal this decision, but they were
Somebody need to assassinate this nigga. I'm gonna be honest with these stories. I literally show my ass when it comes to me not wishing death on people. But oh god.
rejected. So now there was some attention, and briefly politicians were asked, what are you going to do about this case? The politicians
Not assassinate him. Cut his dick off. Like, just cut it off. Just cut the shit off, please. Fuck.
stated that Johnny could not be charged as a criminal because the age of consent is 13.
That's
Most of these
nasty.
boys were older than 13.
That's nasty. That is nasty. That is so nasty. Oh my god. I'm not gonna ask y'all to change that law, but that's nasty as hell. My American ass says that's nasty as hell.
Another thing is that boys could not be R-worded in Japan until 2017. And Johnny was not their parent or guardian, so he couldn't even be classified as child abuse.
Wow.
There
What?
was really no law that they could charge him on.
So everything just worked out in his favor.
What
Yeah.
the hell?
Do you see
He probably knew that too, actually. He probably knew that.
all the loopholes that really work for a predator? I mean,
Like-
these aren't even small cracks. They're
My God.
giant cracks in the system. It's not even,
Nigga, them shits potholes. Them sinkholes. Them not cracks.
wow, this really
It's an open door. That bitch is not ajar at all.
obscure loophole that nobody would have ever known. What's going on? Who are we really protecting here? So
Pedophiles.
fine, but what about a full-fledged cancellation? Cancel this guy's career, right? I'm not sure that happened either. The journalist who covered the libel case said, in Japan, love affairs or sexual relations between men, it's like people don't want to talk about it. People don't believe it. When he and
Bruh, niggas be gay, bro. Like, come on, stop this shit, bro. Y'all need to cut. They need to cut this shit out. They need to cut this shit out. Niggas be gay, bro. Like, come on, y'all. Get the fuck over it. Niggas be gay, bro. Niggas be gay. Okay? God damn. I don't understand why people, bro, I don't get why people just be acting like this shit is fucking taboo. Niggas be gay, bro. Let them be gay. Oh my God. Let these people do what they want to do. As long as they not touching kids and R-wording people. Niggas be gay. I don't understand why. I really don't get why people just don't, like, I don't understand. And don't give me that religion bullshit because they changed the Bible to say that shit. Okay? No, bro. Never in my life you gonna make me think being gay is wrong. Like, what the fuck? Like, that shit just made me so mad. I'm sorry. Like, Jesus Christ, bro. That shit really make me mad, bro. And I'm a straight male. Yeah. But niggas, like, bro, niggas be gay. What's wrong? I don't understand why people be so mad at that. It's weird. It's fucking weird. Like, y'all niggas really afraid of people for being gay? Like, what? Like, oh my God, bro. People are fucking weird, bro.
Other reporters tried to cover the libel case. They were pressured into not saying
Shout out to my gay homies. Shout out to my LGBTQ homies. You know what I'm saying? You got support from me, my nigga.
anything.
The fuck?
The reporter said, I was treated as a dangerous person who did some sort of shady reporting. When we went to print, I was harassed. TV newspapers, publishers are profiting from JNA, so they tried to stomp out this story. In the BBC doc, this same journalist gave an interview and said, I have been in despair for 23 years. Reporters Without Borders ranked Japan number 68 out of 180 countries for press freedom, which classifies it as having a problematic situation.
Wait, 168? 68?
Number 68.
Out of
180 being North Korea. Norway and Ireland take the spot of number 1 and number 2, meaning they have the most freedom of press. Because, like, you know, every country, we're Democrats. It's a democratic system. We've got freedom of press. No, we don't.
No, we don't.
The Japanese government and businesses routinely apply pressure on the management of mainstream media. So it's self-censorship. It might not be government-controlled censorship like you would imagine in more communist areas, but it's self-censorship. It's practically the same thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's basically don't bite the hand that feeds you. And they knew that Johnny likes to play games. Kitagawa wouldn't even let his boys appear on just anybody's shows. He had rules. So if you were this huge TV network that needed their idols to come onto your TV station so that you can make money and views off of your ads, you can't just ask for the biggest star. Johnny would make deals with you. I will give you the biggest star if you feature our new group 3 times in prime slots. That's the only way. Take it or leave it. You are also not allowed to promote any idols from rival agencies or publish anything negative about us. Or else this stops. If they did, Kitagawa would refuse to allow any JNI idol on their programs, and they would lose both audience reach and advertising dollars. So, yeah. A lot of the times these big TV shows would run these variety shows or like random network shows, and they don't need an idol, but you would just see a rookie JNA idol. Just there, basically just to get airtime, but like genuinely not giving input. Like, why are you there? It said if Johnny wanted an idol on that show, an idol would be on that show. So what does this all mean? This means JNA felt no effects from the libel case or the accusations, literally felt none of the heat. In fact, JNA only became more lucrative. Their bottom line was only getting greener. They brought home $36 million a year in profits. So this is not like,
Net.
This is after operating costs. This is take home.
Wow.
Johnny held the world record for the most number 1 artists, number 1 singles, and the most concerts produced by a single individual at the time.
Wow.
And in July of 2019, Johnny Kitagawa had a stroke and was taken to the hospital. Trainees visited him, shared food, talked about their memories with him, and even sang for him. Johnny ultimately passed July 9th of 2019. Japan held a 2-day memorial concert in his honor.
For a pedophile.
Over 88,000 people were in attendance.
For a pedophile.
Hashtag Thank You Mr. Johnny was trending on Twitter immediately after his death.
For a pedophile.
Over 150 JNA idols performed at the memorial concert. The
For a
Prime
fucking
Minister of Japan sent a condolence letter.
For a fucking...
An idol from JNA said, Johnny-san taught me the wonderful things about entertainment.
Johnny-san can rest in piss.
still can't sort out my feelings, and Johnny-san would surely scold me if he saw me crying on TV. Fans who attended the memorial said, Mr. Kitagawa had trained so many idols over the years and left behind such achievements in the Japanese entertainment industry. I wish to offer my sincere prayers for him.
I started sipping because I couldn't take the story enough longer. So that's why my eyes look like this. That nigga rest in piss. Get the fuck
My
out of
life
here.
has become this happy because of Johnny's idols. I have come here today to thank him. I think Johnny-san made his entertainment with love, so I want this practice to be passed on to the next generation. An idol from JNA even wrote a song as a tribute for Johnny's death, and I'll play a clip. The title is literally called Johnny, and some of the lyrics say things like, didn't know you would change my world, as a lover that would take your time. Am I good enough to take your heart and give my love? Will you go? Will you stay? Yes, I'm forever your lover, never leave you alone.
You know what's crazy? The people who were like fucked up mentally will literally this man, whoever did this song, literally just outed him. Like, what? Why is nobody what they held a memorial for this freaky fuck? Oh my lord. This is disgusting.
I remember Johnny first walked by me, knew how to mind. It was like love at first sight in the middle of the night, such a feeling that I couldn't deny.
That's a crazy way to start off a song.
I was like, who are you? Didn't know you changed my world. And I had to get to know you, so I introduced myself as a lover that would take your time. And I got enough, so take your heart and give my love. We go, we just stay. I loved you hard and let you go.
Bro, I promise you, this is oh my god, this is so unbelievable. Fuck.
Never leave you alone. Yes, I'm a forever lover. Yeah, never leave you alone. You're the only one that I call somebody. Walk away, but take all love with you.
Again, we can't be sure that this idol wasn't just using a song he already had and titling it Johnny and paying tribute because of his death, but a lot of people
These words are crazy. These lyrics are crazy.
outside the situation saw it as a very heartbreaking love story for a potential victim. I don't know if he is. I'm just reporting what I read online. That's how a lot of people felt. Speaking of, even after Johnny's death, a lot of idols that stated they were abused by Johnny still expressed condolences and grief for his passing.
I mean, that's just being polite, bro. Like, yeah. I would too if he wasn't a freaky fuck.
They showed gratitude for what he had done with their lives. I mean, this has got to be the most complicated feeling that someone can feel.
I think, again, like in the Japanese culture, at the end of the day, someone has passed.
So
Yeah.
one big thing that exists in, I don't want to just say Japanese culture because I can see a lot of it in Korean culture as well, being a Korean American, but there is a really big thing of like, let's just not speak ill of the dead. You know, he already died, why bring it up? But it's kind of confusing because the victims are not dead. Like, you can't just bury everything, all the bad things someone has done just because they passed and then just try to remember them in a good light. After Kitagawa's death, the control of JNA was passed down to his niece. So her mother, Mary, is Kitagawa's sister and co-founder of JNA. She was in her late 80s, so she couldn't take over, so her daughter did. Her name is Julie Fujishima. She has been working for JNA for 15 years. And in response to the resurgence of the allegations with the BBC doc, she said, since the death of our former representative in 2019, we are working to establish highly transparent organizational structures, adapting to the times in compliance with laws, regulations, and strengthened governance with impartial experts.
What does that
Every
mean?
major news outlet covered Kitagawa's death, but almost none of them talked about his allegations. Journalists who were covering the memorial concert said, I was one of the people who assumed that when Kitagawa died, the dam would finally break. I assumed that there would be a flood of revelations now that he no longer had his hold over the media. When I asked about the lack of conversation, I was told, the Japanese don't like to speak ill of the dead. I find that a very unconvincing response. This wasn't somebody's grandfather. This was a very powerful person and somebody who is also a public figure. I think the media hid behind that excuse, that cultural taboo, because it was uncomfortable in many ways. They refused to say what everybody knew. Another thing, I see a lot of commentators online and a lot of them are stans of idols. And look, that is not a group that I want to mess with. But I just want to say, I don't think anyone wants anything to harm JNA's idols. No one wants to boycott JNA. No one wants to take down JNA. No one wants to take down the company and then the idols are left with nothing. Nobody wants that. I think more now, especially the fact that Johnny Kitagawa has since passed, I think people just want to understand the full extent of what happened so that the victims maybe can get closure, can get some sort of even payout. Because I don't think money solves anything, but they were already, like, think about it. You don't think it could solve a little bit of something, at least? Even symbolically?
Yeah, I feel that too, in all honesty, because, like, of course, money cannot take back everything, but give them some money, please, bro. Give them some money, please. Just please. They work so fucking hard. Just off the strength that, like, they were making like 17 bands a month. Across from the millions that JNA was pocketing that company. Like, we're not even talking about just reparations from this freaky fuck. I'm just talking about just off the strength of all that hard work they did, bro.
And to also learn how to prevent this from happening to the next generation. Like, I think that's just what people want. I don't think people want JNA to go down. I don't even think they wanted JNA to go down when Johnny was around. I mean, maybe he would step down and someone else would run it, even if it was his niece. No one wanted. No one's sitting here like, take down the idols. No one's doing that.
Yeah.
It's literally protect idols and future idols. But it's been a bit of a mess. Even the BBC documentary is super controversial. I do think that they would have highly benefited from having a Japanese reporter, someone that knows the cultural significance of everything, someone who could relate to the pressures that the victims faced. The interviews felt very journalist-led instead of participant-led. And the journalist didn't feel as understanding as I thought that he could have been. The tone that the reporter had throughout was, at least to me, felt very, I don't understand why this is happening, so therefore this shouldn't be happening in this world. When it should have been, I don't understand why this is happening, so please help us see whatever I'm not seeing. Help me see a cultural difference. Maybe that's it. Like, help me understand.
Yeah, it's a lot more complex than you make it.
Yeah, it's
make
a
it to
lot
be,
more
yeah.
complex than like, well, we don't hate Johnny, and some of us actually wanted Johnny's attention. And the reporter is just like, that doesn't make sense. But it's like, no, but it's really complicated. Okay, like so complicated. There's just so much. The documentary has also gotten a bit of pushback because it feels like trauma tourism. Like, oh, look what's going on in this country that's not ours, guys. They're crazy over there. Don't you feel better about being here? Kind of felt like that without bringing in the cultural aspect. It just felt very, you know, it feels like when people are like the dark sides of K-pop, but they do it in a way that feels very much like, good thing we don't have that in Hollywood. When it's like, yeah, you do. You freaking do. But on the bright side, the documentary did spark a lot of international conversation, though I don't think that you can even view this documentary in Japan. And actually, a lot of Japanese netizens were not happy with this documentary. They commented, it's a story of the past, so why bring it up now? And I saw another comment.
Nigga, y'all have history class, right? Y'all teach our kids history, right? Dumbass statement.
That said, this is very rude towards the dead. Nakamura, the journalist who covered the initial
Bro, I get that. I understand. But he was rude towards the alive. So just like how the price, how these people thought that the price that they paid to be an idol was to get touched by that man. The price that you pay for touching people is getting fucking disrespected. Like, what? Like, why do people act like, why do people shut their brain off when it comes to shit like this? I don't know.
Bible case, the one that he said was mourning for 23 years, responded to that comment and said, then what are you going to do when your human rights are threatened? Someone else clapped back. Considering the mental pain of Johnny's talents, it's difficult for fans to know how to react correctly. I want to know the truth, but if the fans make too much noise, it'll have a negative impact on the activities of the talents who are just doing their best. Which I get it, but again, no one is going after the idols. But still, to not talk about it is not a great option either. So it's hard to know where to go from here. Some netizens compare Kitagawa to other famous pedophiles like R. Kelly and Jeffrey Epstein. But, I mean, I can see the comparison since they all targeted younger people, but I don't know. For them, even after death, because Epstein is dead, their reputations are completely ruined, rightfully so. They've been at least criminally and publicly canceled. Kitagawa's case is a bit different. He's still considered a legend in J-pop, and I can't imagine being one of the victims and seeing this guy still be considered the ultimate legend.
Some people still consider R. Kelly a legend, though. The amount of shit that I've seen, a lot of people still, or like what I've seen now is that people still praise his songwriting ability and all his singing and all that shit. Like,
What are your thoughts?
fuck
I
that
see
nigga.
some netizens arguing that art and personal life should be separate, but that's
Art and personal life should be separate. I mean, yeah, but some people bring their art into their personal life. And sometimes your art is literally an expression of your personal life. So we need a new saying for that, actually. So, yeah.
kind of confusing because no one actually holds actual idols to that standard. I mean, idols get canceled for literally anything, like gaining 2 pounds and they'll get canceled. So why are these big men in positions of power held differently? I don't know. What are your thoughts? Please just stay safe out there. And I will see you guys on Sunday for the mini-sode.
My heart goes out to the people who are affected by this nasty, freaky fuck. Koji, you a real nigga, son. I'm sorry you had to go through that, bro. Rest in peace to you, man. Johnny, fuck you, Johnny. And I'm talking about the J-pop one, not Johnny from NCT, because I know people will probably try to misconstrue my words. Johnny Kitsa, whatever the fuck your name is, fuck you. Rest in peace, bro, you nasty piece of shit. Oh, God. I don't even want to talk about this no more. I'm going to see what y'all say in the comments. What do y'all think about this? Let me know, please.